In this video, we will start to explore how we can create an invoice system for your business in Excel. And this is usually for a retailer or for any company who needs to have invoices. So let's start and explore. Well, there are a few things we need to do. Number one, we will have to make the first tab, which will be our product list tab. Number two, we'll have another tab where we can put in the customer details. And finally, we'll have a tab with the invoice design. Because what we really want is this. We want to be able to select from our product list the details immediately in our invoice. So for example, a drop down where you can select the items you have. And then we also want to select the same information for the customer details, where we get all the customer details instantly. And basically it will be fully automated on that part. So let's start and explore. So what do we need first for a product list? Well, there are a few items we need. Number one, we will have a SKU or a stock keeping unit, or else a product ID. I'll just call it an SKU ID. Alright. Next we need the product name or description. We will just call it product name. And finally, we need to have a price matching on that. So product price. So once we have these, let's put them all nicely in here. Alright. And we will make some extra data. So first of all, I'll just give it a nice design. Put it in the centers. So that looks a bit more appropriate. Alright. So what we have here is basically the product IDs. So it doesn't matter what you can put in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Any IDs will go. And in here, we have the product name. So for example, here we are a appliance store offering commercial baking equipment. So let's say we have here a commercial oven, and this product price will be $2,500. And we have another one. We have the KitchenAid mixer, and this one will be $500. And we have a commercial mixer. This one will be $750. We have, let's say, pans, large pan. Let's call this a large pan. This one is $50. And any other item, let's say we have here a bread cutting machine. And this one is $1,500. Alright, so let's extend this a little bit more and double click to make it maximize. That's fine. Here, we make this a currency amount. You can see here by pressing the comma. There we are. So now we got everything here. This might be a bit smaller because this is not that important, or it will not need, doesn't need so much space. Oh, sorry. So once we have this, I'm just going to select all of these and put this in here. And of course, you can extend this with more as you desire. So once we have this, we're done with the first tab, which is quite easy. In this part, we're going to start and focus on the next tab, which is the customer tab or the customer list. So basically, to do this, what we need to do is we need to continue on with this, or at least we will copy this, right click, make a duplication of this, move it to the end and confirm. Alright. Change this to customer list. And from there on, we can start to create our new list. So first of all, what do we have in here? Well, we need to consider a few items. We have our customer ID, which will be here. Customer ID. And then we have the first name. We want to have the first name. I'll just put this on caps lock. First name. Last name. I want you the first name and last name. What do you need more? Well, we need to know the customer address, or if it's a company, we will have a company. We'll put it in later on as well. So we say here, and then address should be more specified, as in street, city, zip code, province, or state, whatever you have. Yes, so we will say here street, then we'll go city, zip code, and if applicable, state, or anything else, any other term that you use. Once you have that, what we need to know more is contact number, say phone number, and once you have the phone number, you have probably maybe an email. And finally, if ever, applicable company. Alright, so let's get the design here. We'll just match the design here. And this should be also bigger. There we are. We will select all of these as well. And this selection here should have all tables. Alright. And just to make this easier, I'll just say CID. And here we can put in some information. So I'll just make up, and you can make up as you go as well. It does not matter. Because most important will be eventually the invoice tab itself, where we will use all this data. So let's say here we have a customer called John Doe. And we have here street name, street 1, city, and the zip code will be 1000. State, state I guess. I'm just making it up. And here 123, 123, 123. Email john@doe.com, and company name John Baking Company. John Baking and Co. That will be fine. Alright. Next one we have Jane Doe, and you can make up anything else you want. Street 2. Let's say New York here. We just make something. New York 2000, or whatever the state is in New York. I guess New York State. And then we have here the phone number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright. Jane@newyork.com. And it will be Jane Company. Alright. So we have enough here. You can make up more as you want. Doesn't matter so much in this case, because our goal here basically is just to have some details. Alright. Now we have our second tab. And now it's time for the third tab to figure out. So make sure you have this data first. So once you have your product list and your customer list ready, we are ready now for the third tab. And the third tab will be the one where you create the invoice. So what we need to do with the invoice is to create a design. And once we have the design ready, we start to connect them with formulas where we can auto-populate the customer ID and of course the products that the customer ordered. So let's start, and I'll just make a copy of our product list. Once we have it here, move it to the end, create a copy, confirm, and there you are. And we'll call this the invoice. Invoice template. You can say invoice, that's fine, doesn't matter. And in here we'll start to make a design. So I will start to make a basic design, and you can always fine tune it to your own. So let's give it a bit more color. I'll make here a very small part here, and the goal of this is basically just to give it a color, and let's give this a nice orange color. And then we put in here the company logo. So this will be your company. Your company. And this can be probably here. What we want to do here is to give some space between. Alright, and same here later on. So we have this. So this will be your company, and what I want to make sure is I want to make sure that these are exactly identical. So I'm just selecting this using the paintbrush, make them here identical. So this is your company name or logo, and then you have the street. And here, if ever you need a street line tool, because if maybe you have an extra, or you need more things, phone number and email. Alright. So once we have this, maybe this can be slightly bigger. Give it a nice color, or make it bold. And here we are, and what we do here is exactly the same. In this case here is an invoice. And this one, that's fine. I'll make this slightly bigger. Okay. Just push this out here. Alright. Now what we have here is invoice number. And this will be whatever the invoice number will be. Date. This should be today's date, and I will later talk about that. Then we have the due date. Oh, due date. And in the due date, we will have whatever the due date will be. Let's say it's always plus 2 weeks. No, okay, yeah, I understand. I'm not allowed to do this because it thinks it's a formula, so I'll just type here plus 2 weeks for now. Yes, the reason why it gives an error, it thinks it's a formula because of the plus symbol or the plus sign, but of course we have text here, so that doesn't work. Once we have this, we're done here. Now what we want to do here is we want to say invoice for our customer for, and then here we put in customer name. We have the company name, if applicable. Most commonly it is. The customer name will be, of course, first name and last name. And then we have the address line. Then we have phone number, if ever necessary. Alright. And then we have here like the payable details or the payable info. So it's a payable to whom will we or who will receive it. And here should be your company name and bank account number. Company name, bank account number. Alright. So we've got this or anything else. So probably will be big here. I'll delete this and I'll extend this here. So that will start to look slightly better. Alright. So we have this. Once we've got this, we're going to now focus on the most important part, which is the formula, or at least a list with all the products as specified. So I'm going to make here, let me see what we did. I selected this. Am I correct? Did I select it correctly? I was expecting this to be up, not down. Alright, so here we are. We just select this here. Here we are. So in here, we will have the list with the products that you can select. So we need to make sure this will be selected. This will later on be, or this will be fixed, of course, but this will be this, or this should be selected. And what I want to do here, let's insert a little bit of space here. Not that much, but enough so there's space between these two here. Alright. So once we did this, let's go in here, and here will be our table. So here we have the number for the product and the description, and as you can see now, let's insert a small item here. Well, we have these here. Well, it's not necessary, I think, for now. Let's do that later on. So here will be, because we should have here the numbering of the item. And then, so we have to later figure out how we can do this properly. Here will be the description. Here we will have the quantity, so how many items does the customer order, and the description will be the product name. Maybe product name is more better. Product name, the unit price, how much will it cost, and finally the total price. There we are. So once we have this, we're basically done. We can extend this more, doesn't matter. And we might make a nice line here, ensuring that everything is between these here. Once we have this, we're going to the next one. Here would be any notes or instructions. Notes, instructions necessary. Most of the time not needed. But here we will have the most important one, which will be the formula or the calculation of the total. So we say here subtotal. Any discounts or adjustments. And then the adjusted total. Then we have the tax rate, if ever you have any tax, which is of course, this will be a percentage, so let's say this will be 12%. Then what we have is the tax amount, so we need to have the exact amount of that. Tax amount, and finally, we will put in here the total balance. So put that in here, or maybe just put it here up. It's not really necessary to put this separate. But what we do want to do is we want to make sure it is distinguished by using not a single line. We just put here a double line or a tick bottom line. We just put it here down. We select this here. Where are you? Where are you? A tick bottom line only. There you are. So that will highlight it nicely. So we have this here. Let's start and work on all these formulas together. So make sure you have this now, and then later on, we can fine-tune the design a bit more, because probably here this should be smaller, You can design, we'll focus on this later on. Now we created or completed at least the bare bones of our design, and we can figure out later on how we can make it far more nicer looking and more advanced, but however not important for now. We want to figure out at least now how we can continue on by systemizing and automating the Excel template or the invoice template, because that will be the most important part. So first of all, here your company, you should put in your logo. Here you can put in your street details and all your company details necessary. If you are, for example, you maybe have a company with multiple branches and you want to send it out based on the branch that you're using, you can do that with automating it. Probably later on I will show you something like that, but for now let's figure out this one here. Once you figure out how this works, you probably can figure out how you can do it for your own company if you have like 2 or 3 branches where you want to adjust the street name or the contact details here. Let's go and start here. Okay, so what are we going to do? First of all, we want to get here, we want to automatically get the name of the customer, the company name, address, and phone number. They are all in this part here. So what we need to do is we need to make a drop-down list where we can select the customer ID. And once we select the customer ID, it will show you immediately the information. Alright, to do that, I'm going to use this white space here. We're going to put in here the customer ID. So what we're going to do is, we're not going to type in equal. We're going to select this, and once we select this, we go to data, and we're going to make a data validation list. So select data validation. Select here, once you have the pop-up jumping out, the list, and you select here the source data. So where's the source data? Well, the source data will be on the second tab. So select this. You can see now we have the customer list here, and we can select these data here. Alright, so once we have this, we can confirm, and we say OK to confirm again. Alright, so now we have our values here. Wonderful. And what we want to do now is the invoicing form. We will leave that. But here we need to get the values from this here. However, it will depend on whatever customer ID we have selected. So in our case, we selected this customer ID, so we should see here John Doe. So what we want to do is here, we're going to use the Vlookup. We're going to use here Vlookup. And the Vlookup function will help you to find the matching number. So what is the Vlookup value? Well, let's select this here, or let's click up here the function formula builder. So with the formula builder, what is the Vlookup value? Well, this dynamic value here. Alright. What's the table array? Let's go to the customer list. You can see it jumps to customer list here. What is the table array? Well, this will be our table array. We'll just select all our information here. And then what's the column index number? Well, the column index number is, what do we want? Well, we want the name of the customer. First name, last name. But we only can get one at a time. So we say here, if this is column index number, this is the first column, second column, third column, starting relative, remember relative from the table array, which was A2 in this case. Oh, sorry, I need to not do that, because I'm starting to click something. Sorry, alright, so let's redo that, because that was not a good. Alright, so I would type in here Vlookup. We get this value here. Then we go here to the table array, which is this one here. Alright. So this is the column, comma, and then we say here column index number. So the column index number, let's go back here, is the second one. So where is the column index number? Basically, we have 1 and this is 2. So this is the second one to get the first name, and later on I will show you how you can get also the third name. Alright, we say here, number 2, range lookup would be true or false. 90% of the time you will use false, so we will use false because we want an exact match. Alright, so we confirm this. It's done. Alright, so we have your John. So now you might wonder, how can we add John or his surname Doe? Or the last name. So let me show you exactly. We're going to do exactly the same Vlookup. Going to look for this, comma. We're going to use again all the same, or basically it's exactly the same format. So I'm going to copy this formula here. And then, escape that, so you don't overrule this, so you use this. Here we put in the function, formula. And remember, on the second column, index number, we had number 2. Now the third one is for the third, which is the last name. It contains the last name. So we have here John Doe. Now you say, well, this is fun, but I want this all together. How can I get it in here? Well, for that, we're going to concatenate them. Concatenation means adding together certain values. To show you, we'll just type in here. We say here concatenate. So, doesn't want to select concatenate. Alright, so I've just fully typed that. And once we do concatenate, it will select here which text do we want to copy first. And that's this one. Secondly, which text do you want to copy? That one. However, this will not work 100%. I'll show you. Enter. Why? Because there's no space. So we need to make space. So what we do here is, we put in here another comma. And we say here a double quotation, space, double quotation, enter. So now we have John Doe. So this is exactly what we want. However, we don't want this as in a reference cell. But we want this. We want just this Vlookup formula. We copy this Vlookup formula, escape, go here, and we just put it in here. Nope, I pressed the wrong button. Let me do it one more time. Copy this here, go back here, adjust this one, and then we enter and see what happened now. Now we have John Doe, this formula, alright. So we're almost there. Copy this as well, except the equal sign. Escape, go here, paste it in here. There we are. Alright, so now we can cut basically this cell, put it in here, delete this, and there you are. Now we have John Doe. So what happened if we have number 2? We have Jane Doe. Or let's give Jane another name. Jane, I don't know, Reyes, whatever. I'm just making up stuff here. Alright, so you can see here now we have Jane Reyes and John Doe. Company name. We have here the company name, which is John Baking Company or Jane Company. For this, we use again the Vlookup. And if you're wondering, what about this here? What are we going to do with this? Well, I will show you later on what we will do, because we will hide this later on. So we have here the company name. This will be Vlookup. And then exactly the same here. That's the value. Table array. We're going to get this same table, comma, and then what we will say is the column index number. So alright, so we have to count. This is the last column that there is here. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this is number 10. Alright, so column index number is number 10, comma, false. Confirm. Alright, so we got this and we got that one. That works nice. Same story here for the address. So the address, we can do exactly the same, and we can even concatenate it again. Or you can do them separate underneath, if whatever you prefer. So we say here, Vlookup. And if you want to do them all together, there's also another option here. It's basically this here. What we can do here is to simplify it without confusing ourselves with so many Vlookups. We would be able to do this. I'm just thinking that might make a bit more sense. We just concatenate. Let me show you here. We'll just concatenate here. So we say here equal concatenate. We just put them all together. Concatenate. Yeah, make sure you spell it correctly. And then we will select here street, comma, double quotation, space, double quotation. Or the reason why we do that is because we must have space between the street name and the city, comma, city, comma, double quotation, space, double quotation, comma, zip code, comma, double quotation, space, double quotation, comma, the state, and there we are. Enter. So now we have, this is our state. Alright. So we can use this value eventually. So this is the full street, or full address. Maybe address is probably the correct name. Address, Alright, we select this. I'll just give this a design as well. There we are. We have this matching here. Alright, so now we have these, so that would save some time as well. We say equal Vlookup, and now we have a Vlookup. What is the value? This is the value, comma. Go back here. We have to select here all of these new Vlookup values, comma, and then what's the column index? Remember, this was number 10, so this should be number 11. Enter. Alright, that works, and I forgot to put in the false, but it doesn't matter. It's by default it will become false. Same story here. Vlookup value equals this, comma. Go back here. We select all of these, comma, and then we need to look for the phone number. So if this is number 10, this should be number 9, and this is number 8. So it's a column number 8. I will just do it in false for the good order. There we are. Alright, so now we have everything. We can make this slightly bigger. Everything is fine here. So this is what we need, and we can adjust this here, and even if maybe you want that, you can even move this over to somewhere else outside of the screen or on another tab, which is also possible, so you will never touch or adjust anything on your invoice. Alright, here payable to, this should be your company, so I say your company, or and then here bank account, that's probably your bank account name, and here 123 123 whatever your bank account is. Alright, so we got this. Let's focus now on the core. This is really the core because this is the most important part. Here, what we need to do here is basically very similar to what we did here up. And that is to make a list based on whatever we select, and then we get the product name, and then we get the item here. So what is our product ID? This is the SKU. So this would be the number or ID. And then here, we will delete this. And then we say here, we select all of these and we make a new list here. Select the cells that you want to insert the list. We go to data, put in data validation here, select the list. Once we got this, then select this button here and look for the item here. So we select all of these stock keeping unit ID. Confirm this. Alright, confirm one more time. There we are. So now we have our items. There you go. And we can put in here the product name. So how we'll do that? Well, we look up, same story. So now this will auto-populate the entire values. So the comma, table array. We go here to the product list, we select here a table array, and this table array is luckily smaller, so it's easier to do. Comma, I say, well, okay, what is the value we want to extract? Well, we want to extract the product name. So we say here column index number, this is 1, this is number 2. So column index number, number 2. And then here we say false because we want exact match. Enter. Confirm this. So once we did this, you would say, well, alright, now I can just drag this. No, you cannot. And the reason why you cannot drag this is because we didn't freeze the cells. So if you look here carefully, you can see here, this is fine. You see here A2 up to C6. That is correct. Oh, escape. And we do here, we see what happens. It's going down here. It goes from A3 up to C7. And then here, A4 up to C8 and etc. etc. So this doesn't work. So what can we do is we need to freeze them before we drag them. So we do dollar symbols in front of the column letter and the row number. Confirm this. Now we have them. Now we can drag this out here. Yeah. Alright. So we're almost done here because you probably can see the path for the remaining here. Well, very simple. What we can do is, as we look here, we have here the product price, that's what's important, and the quantity. Well, the quantity is the one you need to insert. Yeah, so let's say 2 items here, 2 items here, 2 items here. And then this should be price multiplied by unit price. However, there's nothing here, but let's make this first a dollars for a financial symbol. Alright, then the unit price here would be 100. That's what it is. However, we don't want this to be, and I'm just making it a nice design as well, we don't want this hard-coded. We want this to be a reference. And this is, of course, our Vlookup. In our Vlookup now, we have the same product ID or the SKU ID. And then we have the table array. So we go here, we're starting from this part here, getting the stock keeping unit. We have this, comma, and then we need the product price, which is the third column here, which is the column index number 3, and then we say false, confirm. Now we have this. So the large pan is $50. To make sure that we can drag this down, we need to make sure that we have dollar symbols here. Oh, and I'm almost deleting something here, so be careful. Dollar symbols, there you go. So now we have this, we can drag this down here, and there you are. So maybe this shouldn't be a KitchenAid, this should be number 5 for a bread cutting machine. Alright, that looks nice. So once we've got this, now we're almost done, because we can do now the final part, which is just a quick calculation. So we can say here, equal, and we say sum function, and then we select all of these items here. There you are. And then we have here the discount. So what would be the discount? Whatever you want to put in. Imagine they have a 5% discount or $50 or $100 discount for being a good customer. So to make sure we have all of this, we want to make sure that this is like that. All right. So how can we do this? Very simple. This minus that. All right. Now what we can do is the next one, which is the tax amount. So the tax amount will be the total or the adjusted amount and 12% from that amount here. So let's start and calculate this. It will be this multiplied by 12%. There you are. That will be $552. So the total balance will be this plus this. Alright. So here we can just highlight this. We highlight these as well, so that's more clear. And probably these as well. Alright, so these are more clear, so we have that more highlighted. And if you want to make this a bit more fancy, just maximize the size of this. Total balance. Well, this should be slightly smaller. Alright, that fits. So there we are. So now we have this here. And this looks very nice. And this is basically one of the parts. And what we can do is we can go even more advanced. And I want to go after this a bit more advanced. So let's make sure you have this first. Save this. And then we will continue on. Now it is time to start and design the invoice a bit more nicer. Because right now we have the bare bones. We have the formulas ready. Everything is done. Let's start to fine tune it. So let's look here first of all. This is fine. This doesn't need to be changed. We can automate this, but for now we'll just leave that. Here we have some items here, and we can probably fine tune it a little bit more by putting everything to one location. Alright. Here probably we'll just highlight these. Invoice 4. Alright, that's fine. Payable 2. We can just do it like this, and same here. Company name, bank account number. We can leave this here, or we can just move this to the right side, and here as well. Everything here to the right side. And then I realized we need to just put in the date. So what is the date here? We can use a function. We say today. Because most of the time when you make a invoice, it's the day that you make it. That's the most important one. So here, same story. What would be the due date? Probably, if you have, like, for example, fixed 2 weeks payment terms, so you can just select this plus 2. Plus 14, as in 14 days. And there you are. And what we want to do here is to make sure, if we have this all correct, we want to make sure that this has a proper design of date. So we're going to check here, we say more number of formats. We go for the date, and then we can select here, because this is probably better. Make sure it's clear what's the date, or the month, and the day number, and the year. Alright. So once we have that, you can see here now we get this, but we need to extend it a little bit more to make it readable. Alright, so we've got this now. We have this done properly. This is all, this could be maybe highlighted. We have this all in the corner. That's fine. We have to solve this issue here. And to make sure, because we need to check here as well, is this, does this fit in a printing, or for the printer, does this fit? So let's go with the page layout, and then you can see here print area and set print size. Alright, confirm, of course, because we want to select this. And we say here print area, set print. Alright, so now you can see here we have some issues. And the reason is we have this part here that's too large. Alright, let's solve that. Well, first of all, let's solve this part here, because this could be narrowed down to something very small. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert here one. Alright. And we will make this, we will extend this to make sure that this will fit. So we say here the hashtag number only. We put this in the center. And these will be moved as well. So we will move this here along. Total price. Yeah, the product number, or let's see here, let's see if we can move this accordingly. Yes, without hurting anything. That's nice. We can cut this out, move there. There we are. Alright. So now we can cut as well, or we can reduce the quantity of space, because that's better. There you are. So we've got this. And we can make this nicely bold, and we put this in the center as well. Move this to the center. Let's see how much space we have left, so we can move these all together. Alright, so we have this part here, we can move this here. What we're going to do is we delete this first. So we've deleted this. Alright, doesn't fit yet, no worries. So here we have maybe this, and maybe this we can move away. Let's move this to the other side. Alright, let's see if this works. That works nicely. Because I thought first we could probably do it like transparent, or we give the font color white so you will not see it, but maybe that's not a clever trick. Main reason is you will not be able to find it. So we have this here, then we can maybe delete this one here so we have an excess. Alright, we've got this, we put here the line on top. Put this line on top as well. There we are. Let's see what's going on. What are we missing? So we have here, and we can reduce this a bit, and we're almost there. So what we can do, and this is the main reason why it's so big here, is I use a larger font size here, so we can reduce the font size. Because this was for readability for the video, so we can reduce this. And if you put it to 14, that should be more than enough for most of the time. So we can just reduce all of this here down to 14. This one might be slightly bigger, that's fine, because that is our design. It's on purpose. We'll do this as well, 14. This is on 20 and 18. Well, let's put this down to 16. Alright, that looks slightly better. Now, as you can see here, this probably we can reduce. And move this more like that. There we are. So now we start to get a far more better design. Let's make this slightly bigger. Alright, this is no problem. This is not a problem. So everything else here. So what I want to do here is at least to keep the lines consistent. There we are. And that's basically it. So if you would say here, preview, where do we have that? Let's look here. Page layout, print. Let's do Command P or what is that? Command P or Control P. So you can see here the print layout. This is the preview, cancel, or else of course you can just search here. Do we see it? Alright. That looks quite decent. And the reason why this one is right now being shown is because of remove the text here. So let's put this back into cell. If we don't want this, maybe you want to move this on to another tag. Well, we can work on that as well. We can start doing that. So we have this so far, and I do like this already. It starts to look very nice. And what we're going to do is we are going to move this to another tab. And what we will do as well, we will start to work on a design for this, because that will be important as well. So we'll do that in the next part. We'll make a new tab for this. So now let's start to work on the next item, which would be the dashboard itself. So basically the invoicing system is already done. You already have everything. However, let's fine tune it a bit more there, because there's still a lot more we can do, of course. So what we want to do now is, instead of just adjusting here everything for the information and selecting the customer here, we can put it in a dashboard separately. We put it in a new tab, and in this tab you have like all the control settings. So we can start to select, we can put in all the information that is necessary. So let's make a new tab. So I'm going to select this one, and now I'll just copy this. Oh, sorry, that's not the right thing. Right click, not view code, but move and copy. Move to the end, create, copy, confirm. Alright. Now we call this the dashboard tab. So what will be in the dashboard tab? Well, basically, number one, what we want to do is we want to control the company data that we have, company data, and more specifically the branch data. So if you have multiple branches, this is suitable for you. Number 3, or the second part, or number 3, whatever it calls, because basically these two are together. But next, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the drop down for the customer is here as well, here on the dashboard. And the number 4, if you have a bank account, and maybe you don't have one bank account, but you have multiple bank account drop down. All right, and this we will do all from our basically from our dashboard itself. All right, let's look what we need. We don't need much, however we will need some basics. Let's look here at the invoice, and what we need here, this is our company here, company name, street, phone number, email. All right, let's go for that. Let's make that immediately. So in this case I will remove the first name, because we don't need the first name here. We will assume that this is just the company. So this is our company. So I will call it comp ID 1, 2, and 3. Alright. However, here the company name is very consistent. So I just assume we will just maintain the same company name. And if you have other company name, you can use it. But let's say this is a baking equipment shop. Alright. We already have our concatenation here, so that's nice. We don't need to do much with that. Email we have, phone number we have, state. Okay, so we can call this street bake street 250, and this would be Baker's Field Square 100. All right, and this one is in New York, and the other one will be in Atlanta, Georgia. Alright, so this will be in Georgia. Alright, this one is, let's say, New York. Phone number, if we just maintain this, and this will be, we assume company will be always the same company name, same email or same contact, but you can change it, of course. So, info baker.com. Alright, and this one, we just assume same, or info2 at baker.com. This is the baking equipment, so we got everything here ready. So this is our details here. Alright, so we've got this. So we have 2 branches here. If you have more, fine, you can put them in here. Alright. So we have basically the company data, we have control, we've already done that. Alright, next. What we want to do is as well the multiple bank accounts. We're going to do that one as well. So we're going to call here the payment details or bank details. Bank details. And then we have, let's say 3 banks. So we have one is bank, what is that? The bank details. What we need the account holder, account name, probably, and bank account, well, we can call it account number. Alright, so we have name here, that will be just baking equipment shop. assuming that this is all the same. However, here we have different banks. So ABC 123,000, and then we have here another one is 100, 102, 100, and then we have another one is one or whatever. I'm just selecting one. Some things AB. All right, let's put them all neatly to the right. So there we are. All right, we have now this. That's done. And we have a drop down for the customer. We have to move that as well here. So what we will do here is we will now start to work on the dashboard design. Oh wait, let's get these. Because basically what we did now so far is only the table design. And we need to have the dashboard design as well. However, I'm just making it quickly here. And alright, we cut this. I think we can cut all of these. I'm going to cut this and we'll move this down here. Alright, because then here this is our dashboard. Yes, so here our dashboard will be select branch, select branch, and then we have here the other option will be select payments for bank account number, and finally number 3 is select customer. Alright, so once we have this, this is a special dashboard. It's very simple right now. I'm not spending too much time here on it. However, you can make it as nice as possible. Let's merge them all together. I'll put this in the center. Beautiful. Alright, that looks nice. And let's highlight these. And there we are. So maybe I'll just give this a grayish color so to make it slightly different. Alright, here we have a drop down based on the information here. And then after that, we also drop down for this. So let's get the first one, which is the branch. So equals, oh sorry, not equals. Our drop down here will be select data. We will select here the data validation and we use the list. Alright, select the source here. Now we're going to select this and what is our source? This is our source. There we are. Enter, confirm. So what happened here? I am missing something. A single reference. Am I correct? Are we missing something here? What am I missing? The source must be a delimited list or a single row. Let me double check what are we missing. Or maybe, do we have anything in here? I realize we copied this. So the reason why probably this is happening is we are copying stuff. And maybe this one here is an issue. This is the one we need. Well, let's double check here. Let's do our data validation. Do we have everything? Alright, there's none. Fair enough. So the reason why probably is because of the formula here. So we do again this. Let's select our, oh, no, we need to go back this, sorry. Yes, it just caught me slightly off guard. So what we need is the following. Alright, we're going to select here. This is where we want to put the info. And then what we want to do is the list. And of course, I realize we need this here. Or in this case, we need the branch name. So we'll say here the street. Sorry, this is my mistake. Select this. This is fine. Alright, so now we can select here the branch, which is of course the name. I'm trying to do everything because I'm in my mind already at the Vlookup. So don't use that yet because we're going to use the Vlookup later on. But don't do what I just did. Don't select them all. We select this here. Alright. And here, the same story. What we're going to do is here the bank account. We can select here bank account number. Maybe we should have here a proper bank account name. We can just do this. But sometimes you have like the bank where you are located. Maybe you're on JP Morgan, whatever. You have American Bank, etc., etc. Doesn't matter. All right. Confirm. Now we select here. We can select now the bank account number. Beautiful. We have our customer or select customer list already here. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this. And as we cut this, we're going to move this here. Alright, so once we select number 2, that should be Jane Doe. Do we have Jane, or sorry, Jane Reyes right now? There we are. Alright, so we're almost done now. So basically this is the part, and what we need to do now is just to match up. Oh, and what I want to do here, at least put the tables back in, or the borderline. We got that. Now what we will do is we will make this a VLOOKUP. And the VLOOKUP will be matching here. So the first thing here is, well, this basically does not need any VLOOKUP if you have already all the data here, and this is hard coded or it's the same company. But maybe if it's not, you will need VLOOKUP. Alright, so we have this here, VLOOKUP. And what is the VLOOKUP value, or the lookup value? Well, simple. This will be our lookup value. And then, comma, we're going to select here the rows. And once we did that, we do again, comma, say column index number. So what do we want? Well, we want the company name. If I'm not mistaken, remember, now our company, we don't select the company ID, we select the company street. Basically, you can also select the company ID if you remember what the street name is. Alright? But we just do it from this now. So, this is the first column, this is second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, number 7. Alright, so the seventh column. Alright, and then we need false for exact match. Enter. Alright, so we are now making equipment. And what I want to do is here, let's do this. And that's my mouse. Sorry. What we want to do here is the following. This will be, let's say, baking equipment. Let's say this is baking supplier. So we can test the value. Alright, let's go back here. You can see now we selected number 2, and this is the baking supplier. Am I correct here? Is this number 2? The branch, this is the second branch, that's correct. So Bake Street is the first branch, and that is the baking equipment shop. Alright, so now we have this. The next one will be the street name. So how do we do the street name? Well, same story. What we can do here is just simply this. We can copy this, yes. We put it in here, then we get the baking equipment. However, in this case, remember the first one in the table here, the street was the street name. So basically here, the first column number 1, here we are. Alright, so if you have another longer street name, maybe extension, building ABC, you can put it in here. If not, just delete this, you can ignore this for now. Then I'm going to move on here, or what we can do here is, I also realized we can also do the following here, that we have concatenated. You can get the entire address in case you want this. And I think that will be also quite nice. We can just get the address itself. So what I'm going to do here, the VLOOKUP, let's look what's the value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Number 8. Let's go back here. Number 8. See if this works. If it doesn't work, it means that we didn't select the cell. Number 8. Alright. We selected the cell here. And as you can see here, this might be slightly too long. And then there's 2 options. We can move this down. And then we say text wrap. There we are. So that looks nice again. Phone number. What is the phone number here? This was, let's go back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Phone number is 5, and this one is number 6. So let's start here, go back here. Phone number. We copy exactly the same VLOOKUP. No, escape that. Change this here to this formula and put in number 5. Enter. That will be phone number. And then your email was number 6. Remember that? The 6th column of the table, and there we are. So we can put this phone number, maybe more appropriate, put it here. Alright, so once we've got this, we have here everything. We can even adjust to the due date here, because we have the due date here adjusted, but maybe we want to put that here. As I realized, we can do here due date. Due date, and the invoice date by default is today, but we can also do that invoice date and due date. So let's copy this design, do it in here. You can see the design takes quite a lot of time, and because you want to fine tune and make it as easy as possible, because once you start to see this, it becomes easier and easier, and you also understand the connection here. So dates here will be equal this, enter, and this will be equal that. And if you want to do that, so we say here equal today, enter, and this one today plus whatever, let's say 14. No, sorry, function, make sure it's a function, today plus 14. Alright, want to make this nice? Well, you know how. You can see the dates, more formats. Let's get the suitable format here for the date. There we are. Okay, confirm. There we are. What do we have more? So we can still adjust here the invoice number. So do we want to adjust this? We can do number 6. Say invoice number. Then here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so we've got this almost done. Oh, except for this, I want to copy only the numbering equal this. So what are we still missing here? Well, we have this. Well, the bank details need to be matched. Alright, so we can say here company name. By default, the company name should be the Vlookup. It should be this here. Alright, baking equipment, that is probably the account holder, if I'm not mistaken. But if you have a different account holder, it can be as well. So you can adjust this to whatever you want. Yeah, so maybe this one is a personal name. Let's say this is from Jane, or what is it? The whatever the company is. Nick, though, I'm just making up stuff. Alright, it'll be maybe the personal bank account. There we are. So what we can do here is a Vlookup, open parentheses. Then here, what we need to do is we need to use the bank account number. Alright, so we have here the bank account number. You can select here also the bank account holder, but imagine we have the bank account number. Alright, so we have this, and then this is a slightly tricky one. We have this one here. We select this, and then what we need to do is this. Then we say the column index number. So what is the column index number? Well, the column index number will be number 1. So we have number 1, and then we say false. And that's it. There we are. So now it gives you an error. And the reason why it gives you an error is because you have to put in a trick here. Slightly complicated. Should we, I'll cover that right away. Just a minute. I'll just make this one first before we continue on that one. However, you could basically, to simplify it, you would be able to put the Vlookup just on the bank account name or the bank account details here. However, if they are identical, it might be confusing compared to this. However, it does not matter. We will work on this right away. So this one is equal that. There we are. So now we have this part. All right. So how can we solve this issue? Because this is an issue here that we covered, that I have covered in another video, but I will show you right away how to do it. Because here's an issue here. Vlookup is this, and we have this here as well. So how can we adjust this? So let me show you exactly how to do this. To solve this error, we need to do the following. What we need to do is, and let me explain why we have this error. Why do we get this error exactly? It's very simple. Vlookup is allowed to search values if the first value of the Vlookup is the required matching value. And then, so this should be the first one with the matching value, and from there on, anything to the right, it can read. In our case, the matching value is on the right, and it needs to go to the left. And now Vlookup has an issue. It says, sorry, I cannot read this. I have a problem. So what we need to do is we need to shift these two together. So what I mean is this. Basically, I want this account to be here, and I want this to be there. All right? However, you might say, well, that's fine, but I cannot do that in Excel by copy pasting if my dashboard would be like protected. You're right. This is why we have wonderful formulas where we can use this. So let me show you exactly how to do that. So we're going to use this, and you get here again a very nice bonus trick to learn. We use the choose function. So we say here the following. We say, let's say we want the second column shown first here. It's number 2, comma, and then we select these values here, comma, and then we select the next value here, and then enter. You can see now the second column is being shown as first, or has been repositioned to the first column. So this is nice. However, you say, well, do I need to have 2 of those? No, you don't need. We're going to use a trick with an array combining it all together. So how to do that? So we do again, choose, open parentheses, and then here we do curly brackets. Alright, so ignore this, yes, that's it, and then we click on this, here, curly brackets. And then we say the column number 2 must be shown first, because that's the first number you display, and column number 1 will be shown second. Alright, then now we need to first select column number 1, that's this, and then we select column number 2. Once we have that, we close this, there you are. So now we reposition this correctly, and if we would do this with Vlookup now, it will work. So how can we use this there? Well, let me show you. Let's go back here to Invoice. We click here, and then we're going to open up this here. So what we do is the following. We have this here. Yes, and we're going to make sure you copy the template of dashboard in here. Alright, so, or sorry, we're going to use the value of dashboard in here. So that would mean choose, open parentheses, then you get the dashboard, and then here we will get the value. So what we can just do, remove this maybe, and just move here to dashboard. And then we will select here first what would be the first value. So probably here, we don't need any dashboard. But later on we will be needing the dashboard. Why? Because we need first, we say here first number 2, number 1, and then comma. Then here will be dashboard, because that's the tab where you will find it. And you can type it, or you can just select this, basically, makes more sense. Select this, comma, select this one, close, and now we have a longer formula. So let's look here at the formula. What happened now is we have here the choose, and then understand that this choose is now, the table array is now the choose table array, which is stored in the memory of Excel. So Excel understands this restructuring. Confirm and done. Alright, so now you say, wait a minute, why I get the bank account number and not the name? Well, we put this on number 1, right? Column number 1, well, because of the new restructuring, the bank account number is the first column. So the second column will be the bank account name. And there you are. Open it up, or we make it slightly more bigger, and there you are. And now we have everything really shown. So this is really how we can do this, and you can play around with this even more. We can go unlimited, and I think we've been doing it for quite a while now. But you can move on. And if we delete this, you will see nothing happens here. This maintains. So let's try something else. Let's select here, not this one, but the second one, which should be from Nick Doe. And then we select here the Bake Street. What do we have here? Bake Street to Bakersfield Square. And then we have the bank account number we did. We do customer number 1. So it will be John. And this, we can say today, let's say today plus 10. Alright. This is all adjusted. And this here, we'll say today, well, in this case, maybe if you want this, you can probably do here, maybe more better, is this plus 10. So it will always be consistent here. Let's look at our invoice. Our invoice has been adjusted, this plus 10, that's correct. Nick Doe is the company name and the bank account number. You have John Doe as the customer, and here is the supplier, or our company details. Bakersfield Square, baking supplier. And there you are. So now we have a far more advanced invoicing system as planned. So if you like tips and tricks like these and videos like these about Excel, subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions regarding to this, because this is quite advanced stuff, just let me know, post them below in the comments, and I will make sure I'll get back to you.